I'm reminded of Dan Siegel's wheel of awareness, right? Where he had the hub, which was the kind of the Phil Phails for you. The viewer or the consciousness or the being.
Exactly. That's the aware what I call the awareness of the awareness. It's like that part of us that is aware of all the other stuff going on inside of us, including our thoughts and our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then each hub, that was the hub of awareness, and then each spoke was one sensory, whether it was like, oh, this is a smell, is this a thing, or
a thought.
You place your sensory kind of awareness of awareness on. You could put it on a thought in your mind. You could put it on, a feeling. You could put it on a smell or a sound. And so this like spectrum awareness, is it similar to that?
Yeah, it's similar to that. It's very similar to that. And she's just put her spin on it that's a little bit simpler than this wheel of awareness. And that's her way of teaching. But the root of it was Siegel's wheel of awareness. And I've seen him live 3 or 4 times, and he's amazing. I mean, he's like one of the most amazing individuals and brains and articulate humans I've ever seen and person. And he'll lead complete audiences through his wheel of awareness exercise. And that was the original, his original way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the five senses that we know, and that's, taste, smell, sight, touch, and sound. And then in Buddhism, we have kind of some others that are of the mental variety or the cognitive variety. And that's where I think we go when we talk about placing our awareness on thoughts in our mind, movements and the things that are going on.
Yeah. It's primarily thoughts and then emotions, if you want to think of those two things as being internal landscape. And then there's kind of stepping back from those as well. And there's something that happens that observes all that. And so there's just, let's call it the observer. So, it's being internally aware of how those are playing out moment to moment.
Yeah. You spoke about a natural awareness and a focused awareness. And I'll try to articulate what I think that means or how I make sense of that. One would be, I'm looking at the Rubik's Cube, right? This Rubik's Cube, and I'm, to the exclusion of all things, I can shut down like a tunnel and say, I'm focusing all my awareness, all of my attention to that one object.
Yeah.
And taking in that object completely. And then there's a softer kind of awareness I can take in of the whole environment, the room, you're in it. And it can be almost like expanding myself in some way to include everything. The lamp behind you, the plant, even into the sunroom and things I can feel there or see there.
Yeah, and it's so it might be, the way I might think about it, and it's a little exercise she puts together in her book is stare at an item in the room, and that's focused awareness. Now stare at a wall in the room and just notice how your attention might go from one thing to another. And that's focus. That's flexible awareness.
Flexible awareness.
Yeah, right. And then open awareness is just staring out into space and not focusing on anything. More like a complete video image, if you want to think of it that way, and just take in the entirety of it. And that's natural awareness. And then there's the bonus awareness, which is you can then be aware of that part of you that's aware inside. So that's how she describes it. And I think it works real well for how I understand the ability to deal with this word we use as awareness. Yeah.
I understand the first two, and I've practiced with folks the last one that you spoke on, this like idea of turning awareness back on itself. That's been a little bit more difficult for me to conceptualize, if not to realize.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy for me to focus on a meditating cat, right? I can focus on a meditating cat.
Exactly, your breath or anything like that.
And it's easy for me to take in this whole image without really focusing on anything at all. And then to, cycle back my awareness on itself, it's not as clear.
No, that one is tricky because our mind tends to get in the way of that. And it's that's why they call it, meditation is a practice. It's like practicing any skill that you want to develop. It's, what they call it, 10,000 hour rule, it's how do you practice to play an instrument? How do you practice to be good at a sport? How do you practice to do anything with any skill?
Yeah.
It took me a long while to understand what they were talking about. But that's not the goal. That's the practice is to just play with that and to see what happens. And over time, my experience, as well as I think a lot of people's experience, is over time, they start to see what that means to them. And then that opens up even the experience of you in this world even more. Mm. And so it's not an end state. There's no nirvana. You and I are in nirvana right now. We're present with each other. We're at peace with each other. I mean, that, is nirvana to me. So there's no end state that we're after. It's all about being okay with where we're at and how we see things.